What's the difference between climbing a 7,000 meter peak, like let's call Aconcagua in Argentina, and a 6,000 meter peak? I don't even want to get into 8,000 meter peaks today. So to be honest, there's a lot of similarities. You know, the trekking to the respective base camps, they're essentially the same. The gradual and slow process of acclimatization is the same. The camping aspect is generally the same. But the biggest contrast is what happens above the base camp. So on a 6,000 meter peak, you take some time to rest at the base camp, usually, or at a certain elevation, and then you make one big push for the summit. On a 7,000 meter peak, you generally have to do one more or even possibly two more rotations on the mountain prior to pushing for the summit. That's spending time between two camps. And these rotations, they're really important in order to allow us to acclimatize to the higher altitudes, but also to facilitate the transportation of equipment that we need to the upper camps in advance of a summit push. So let me give you a perspective. On Aconcagua, the base camp's roughly at about 4,900 meters. Camp 1 is roughly around 5,400 meters. Camp 2 is around 6,000 meters, and we've done summit bids from Camp 2. And then there's even a higher camp, which is around 6,400 meters. So depending on the snow conditions and the weather forecast, we usually decide in the days prior on how many rotations to do before we go for that summit push. So on some mountains, there's even some smaller peaks, including Aconcagua nearby, that you can use for acclimatization instead of an additional rotation. But really, it's impossible to know ahead of time exactly how things will pan out. And in any case, plans are always likely to change. And I joke and I say, on a 7,000 meter peak, I might present an itinerary, but rarely does that itinerary stick. So the best way, it's impossible to know ahead of time how things are going to pan out. So things are always going to change. So the best way is to stay present and win the day at hand, one day at a time. The significant difference is that where on a 6,000 meter peak, it can take anything from 7 to 10 days. But to climb a 7,000 meter peak, you're going to be on that mountain from anywhere from like 12 to 16 days. So the duration, it's difficult to disconnect from normal life, but it's also amazingly freeing as well. But on the other hand, it can also be quite the mental challenge being away from loved ones for such a long period of time. So it always comes back to mindset, being resilient and being willing to be present in the now. And if you can do that, climbing a big mountain like Aconcagua is one of the best feelings in the world. And so if you think you're ready to push your limits on a 7,000 meter peak and go further than you have, I should say higher than you've ever gone before, then apply to our 2024-2025 team. The climbing season runs from about November 2024 to March 2025. And we're planning to send a team to Aconcagua during that time period. So apply in the link below, reach out to me, and we'll see if you have what it takes.